That's one of my questions was after reading the book and seeing how your thoughts on how people were like, how your interactions with people, particularly with people who were known for being in comedy. It didn't feel like they gave you the most like respect uh, when you were trying to give advice about starting a comedy channel. It was always kind of sarcastic, responses or like, yeah, good luck with that, or okay, yeah, like what do you know about comedy type things and whatnot, particularly if people that you had to work with, like Stu and Eddie from the book.
Well, that's exactly right. And talk about unexpected consequences of something. I figured I was doing everybody a favor by introducing the idea and talking about how it would be done and why it would be good and what we should do. Um, so immediately I'm teamed up with Stu Smiley. You mentioned Stu. Stu was the head of HBO programming. Now Stu had been in the comedy business. I'm sorry, he was head of HBO comedy programming, right? So he knew all the comedians, he knew all their agents, he knew the business, he knew what things cost, he knew where to find people. What did I know? I knew that I liked comedy and I had this big, idea and everything. So almost immediately, I would say from the minute he met me, Stu was like, "What do you know about comedy?" And he must have said it to me 100 times. And he also said, "Hey, there he is, the guy with the big idea."
Yeah, that was one that
You
was
know. And what I quickly learned was, number one, comedy was like a pretty. It was like a club. You
his
had to
boys
get
club.
into the club. Yeah, it was. Well, certainly a boys' club back then. But you had to be in the club, and man, I was not in the club. I wasn't a performer, I wasn't a writer, and I hadn't been in the business. um, and not only that, but it became quickly apparent that I was going to have to teach myself anything I learned about comedy, because these
You
guys
need
weren't
help.
these guys weren't rooting for me. You know what I'm saying? They weren't going to be real helpful. And I do want to make it clear, it wasn't like Stu was a bad guy. That was just like the general attitude of the comedy business. Either you're
Skeptical.
in it or
They're
you're not.
skeptics, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, so who's this guy? And Eddie Gorodetsky, you mentioned him. He was the head writer on the channel. He was just brutal. He just said, "Man, I should be doing your job." I said,
Yeah,
"My
there was
job."
actually an excerpt from the book that I wanted to read because I thought it was kind of a epitome of what we're discussing right now. I'm just gonna read it right now. Immediately, Eddie started in on me. What do you know about comedy? When I didn't answer, I thought it was a rhetorical question. His meaty hand poked my chest and he raised his sandpaper voice. What do you know about comedy? I wanted to get up and leave, but Eddie had been itching to have it out with me for a while. Let's get this over with, I thought. What do you want me to say, Eddie? I said, I'm stuck for a line here. Admit I'm right. Admit you don't know shit about comedy. I admit it, okay? Compared to you, I don't know shit about comedy. And admit the channel sucks. I winced. He was right. And I just thought that part from the book was great. Like it was just kind of, I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was a moment, man. It was a couple of months after we launched,
Yep.
and one of the things I wanted to make clear in the book was that Comedy Central, or Comedy Channel, as it was known then, was not shot out of a cannon as a success. Mm-hmm. The first year, I thought they were going to shut us down every day when I went to work. I mean, I would go to work saying, "Okay, today's the day." They're going to call me up. They're going to say it's over. It's not working. Shut it down. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people, Eddie was one of them, I think they were slightly embarrassed about the whole thing, because these guys, they had been successful in the world of comedy, and HBO, with all this money and clout and reputation, they were going to do a comedy network, and everybody, like the whole world went, "Oh yeah, let's check it out," and we launched and it was like, and why shouldn't it have been? You think about starting up anything. Is it always, exactly what it's supposed to be on day one? No.
Oh.
I mean, the thing about having a channel, and I immediately recognized this, was tomorrow's another day. We can change things. We can make things that aren't working go away. We can add things that maybe if they're working, we can add more of those. And that's what I started doing, despite the fact that some people were like, in the bunker like this.
Yeah.
And I think Eddie he was one of the guys who was really like, this isn't working and I know how to make it work. I mean, meaning he knew how to make it work, and Art doesn't. And so that's why there was that kind of tension there. And it was difficult. It was difficult for him
Yeah.
too, sure.
Yeah.